that was unexpected, but then nobody expects the Imperial Inquisition. Yes, their key elements are, surprise, the Ordos Malleus, Xenos, and Hereticus. Yes, it's Codex Imperial Agents, and in case you hadn't guessed, I'm a little bit excited. I love this book. I have basically picked up every version of the Inquisition rules that have been available since they started doing them. I picked up the Demon Hunters Codex and the Witch Hunters Codex back in 3rd edition 40k, desperately waited for the inevitable Alien Hunters Codex that never came, built a Deathwatch army, warband when they published the rules for them in White Dwarf, and immediately grabbed myself some Deathwatch and the Deathwatch Kill Team box when it was released. I've got a Deathwatch army, I've got a Grey Knights army, I've got a Sisters of Battle army, and I've got Inquisitors coming out of my ears. In case you haven't watched in the past, I run a Inquisition-themed campaign weekend, usually every year. Sometimes COVID and life gets in the way and it skips a year. It's back again the end of this year, and there's a whole series of videos on it. Go and check out the Silent War videos after this. But now, let's talk about Codex Imperial Agents. So, what do we know? Well, thus far, we've had a fairly detailed article from the Warhammer community website, and it genuinely looks like it's all of the things that I ever wanted in an Inquisition Codex being hand-delivered to us on a plate. This codex builds upon the existing Imperial Agents rules that have been in 10th edition since its release, whereby you could add things like Inquisitors or Rogue Traders and their retinues and their kind of kill team units as they've been released into your existing Imperial armies. But also, it creates an entirely new army list in case you want to mass the forces of the Inquisition, just like we used to do back, like I said, in 3rd edition with Sisters of Battle and the Grey Knights. This is not to say that this is replacing the Grey Knights Codex, and of course, we know it's not replacing the Sisters because they've already got their Codex. Sadly, it would seem it is replacing the Deathwatch Codex, but I think that's okay. Because when you look at the Deathwatch Codex, a lot of what you actually get there is just the same stuff that you get in the Space Marine Codex with some Deathwatch on top. What they have proposed to do then with this, it would seem, is you can play it the same way that you've played previously. You can take your army of Imperial Guard or Space Marines or whatever, Imperial Knights. Yeah, and then add in, depending on the size of the game, some retinue units, some inquisitorial characters. But you can now also requisition some of the Chamber's militants. So you could take, for example, a Imperial Knight army with an Inquisitor, with their retinue, and a unit of Grey Knight Terminators, and an Assassin if you're playing at like 2,000 points, which is pretty cool. Equally, you can now take an army composed entirely of units from the Imperial Agents Codex. And I'm going to be intrigued to see what else makes the cut. So thus far, what we've seen pictured there, we know that there are going to be 4 detachments within the Codex. And I think this is, in some ways, actually a bit of a sop to the Deathwatch players as well. I hope this makes up, salves the pain a little bit at your Codex going away. What we know is we're going to have 3 detachments based upon the 3 Ordos, so an Ordo Malleus, an Ordo Hereticus, and an Ordo Xenos detachment. Ordo Malleus presumably will be separate from the types of detachments that come out in the Grey Knights Codex, which Games Workshop have basically said is coming out next year. But what it will allow you to do then is take units of Grey Knights Terminators, and I'm assuming maybe they'll put rules for like other Grey Knights units in there as well. They haven't said. So it might well be that you get units of like Grey Knights in power armor, maybe even the mighty Dread Knight popped in there. Who knows? But you'll also then be able to take units of things like, well, for one thing, Arbites. For another thing, the Naval Storm Breachers. We're seeing that there's the Rogue Traders crew making an appearance there. There's, of course, the Inquisitorial Retinue, and assumably that also means things like the Jacaro, the Demon Host, and who knows what else. We know that Priests are making an appearance in here, as are Navigators. Whole loads of stuff that featured in like the Blackstone Fortress box are making their way over into the Imperial Agents Codex, so you can add them into your armies. The Ordo Hereticus, it's clearly stated, is going to have units from the Sisters of Battle Codex, so we're going to have Sisters, Immolators, Rhinos. Whether, again, we get some of the other units from the Sisters or whether we purely get those, unclear as of yet. And then finally, the Ordo Xenos will have access to the Deathwatch veterans and their special Black Star, Corvus Black Star lander. Captain Artemis is coming back from the cold. And The Watch Captain will be in there as well. What I'm wondering is, we know that the Auto Xenos is going to have a detachment. Will that Auto Xenos detachment essentially be a Death Watch detachment? So will that allow you to take units from the Space Marine Codex, like Intercessors, like Terminators, like Bikes, and mix those in with the other Auto Xenos units to make a full-on detached Death Watch detachment? I think that would be really cool if that were the case. But equally, they have said that there's nothing to stop you from taking the Death Watch units and adding them to a Space Marine army, which is already painted up in Death Watch colours, and just playing that as Death Watch. We shall see. The fourth one, which is interesting, essentially is an Imperial Navy detachment. Now, I'm assuming that this will be using things like rogue traders as your HQ choice, and then units like their retinue and naval breachers as kind of the main battle line units. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. And they have said there are going to be loads of crusade rules from essentially playing a shadowy Inquisition crusade. I'm going to be very interested to see how this all pans out, because I have been playing my Inquisition themed campaign with very much kind of almost crusade rules since before crusade was a thing. And some of the guys from the studio have even played in my Inquisition campaign, so I'm going to be watching carefully to see whether or not I have managed to inspire them or help them come up with some cool ideas that they can work in there. I mean, my own one uses things like unique mission objective cards for your Inquisitors. It uses things like the Emperor's Tarot as a set of kind of inverted mission cards where each player can pick which side of the tarot card they want to play, the Arcana or the Discordia version of the tarot card. I am absolutely made up. There's going to be lots more videos about this as we get more information, and once I get my hands on a copy, I'll do a full review of it, because I am so excited to see something that really kind of matches what I've always wanted from an Inquisition army list, something that allows me to take pretty much the cream of the Imperium elite troops scattered across. I mean, think about the way, just throw this out there, think about the way in which army lists are built now. You can have anything in your army, as long as you don't have more than 3 of any one thing. In theory, that means an assassination force is open to us. Like, we could take an Inquisitor, 3 Evasaurs, 3 Vindicares, 3 Calexus, and 3 Calidus under this codex, it would seem, and just unleash them across the world. I might do that just for the sheer fun of it. I mean, it would be even cooler if they finally gave us rules for the 3 other assassin temples that had featured in the Horus Heresy range and allowed us to use those in our 40k armies. Oh, that would be brilliant! But I cannot wait to think and look at all the different things that we can do. I'm hoping that we'll get more information in the coming weeks about what each of the detachment special rules are. We've already seen that the Imperial Navy detachment, for example, you essentially pick one of 2 objectives for the start of the game. You either pick that you're targeting a particular enemy unit and you get to re-roll ones to hit against that unit, or you're picking a particular objective, and then units within range of that objective not only boost their objective secure roll, but they also get an invulnerable save to represent the fact that they're holding a core target. That's so cool. That's a really nice way of kind of shaping the narrative of the way in which an army plays. Yeah, I don't think there's more I can say about it. Oh, I will say this. There is a new Coteaz model. Games Workshop, can you please make sure that the old Coteaz model also remains available? Because, yeah, I'm not going to say any more. We all have midlife crises, and it seems so does Coteaz. On that bombshell, I'm going to move on. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this excited rambling. I will be back on Friday with a Warhammer the Old World video, so make sure you come back for that if that's your cup of tea. Otherwise, why not have a look through the archive and check out my Inquisition videos from there. Thank you very much for watching. As ever, I will catch you next time. Bye for now.